out to show up to this gathering. Today I'm going to distribute to you a high knowledge of wisdom, a high level of light, and understanding that that will help us see our way through. But first and foremost, before I do anything, I want to give reverence and honor to the women. It's not many here, but I want the men to stand up if you can. And we're going to give reverence to the women. Just stay sitting there. So we're going to do my hand. All right. Thank you all for coming. You may sit down. I'm Osei Kufuor. I'm from Lynchburg, Virginia. I was born and raised here. And I'm back home, and the energy is so low. It's a flat line. And so I'm coming back home to do open heart surgery for my people because our people are in the worst condition than any other culture. We are dying every day. And we spend $1.1 trillion a year on rims, tennis shoes, and everything else that we can do for ourselves. We're less self-dependent upon ourselves, and we depend upon other agencies and governments. And we don't have our own governments and parliaments as other cultures. So I'm going to ask you all a question. How many of you knew that the United States of America was a corporation, a private corporation? You didn't know? You know?
I've heard stories.
Heard of it, okay. All right, well, can you get the lights for me? I'm about to get into this, and I'm going to show you how to draw up your affidavits, how to clear accounts if you are in debt with certain corporations. You're going to hit the light. It's on the left. On the left side. All right. Forgive me, y'all, for being old-fashioned. I kind of have to do the slides in the old-fashioned way, so I'm going to go ahead and put this up. Y'all can see that? We're coming back to the version. We're going to go to the congressional records of 1933, in which the United States of America Corporation filed for bankrupt. And I'm going to do a lot of reading today, so excuse me if I don't look directly at you all. And this is the Bankruptcy of the United States Congressional Records, March 7, 1993, volume 33, page H-1303. And you can find that on the Congressional Records in D.C. Don't take my word for it, okay? Speaker Representative James Trafficking Jr., Ohio, addressing the House. And it speaks, Mr. Speaker, we are here now in Chapter 11. Members of Congress are official trustees presiding over the greatest reorganization of any bankrupt entity in world history. The U.S. government, and we are setting forth, hopefully, a blueprint for our future. And there are some who say it is a coroner's report that will lead to our demise. It is an established fact that the United States federal government has been dissolved. Y'all hear that? It's dissolved. There's no more government. It does not have any sovereignty of laws. It does not have any type of standing when it comes to printing real money. So in order to pay off a debt, as it says in the Constitution, you have to have silver and gold. And the gold standard is suspended.
Well, to get clarification, can you state and define what the word trustee is in legal standing?
Well, trustee and legal standing is sort of like person. And you have two types of person in law. You have corporation and you have people. For example, when you get your birth certificate, you notice that your name is in all capital letters. But that's not how you spell a name. That's how you spell a business. And so therefore, when you go to court, for an example, it says the state of Virginia versus Jane Doe, right? The state of Virginia is a person, and you are also a person, but your name is in all capital letters. And because you are all in all capital letters, you are under colorable law. If you look at Black's Law Dictionary, colorable law is one who doesn't exist. They only exist as a business. So they can automatically adjudicate you under their laws without challenging status and jurisdiction. There's two types of documentation and evidence they must have over you when you go into the court: status and jurisdiction. Status meaning your delegation of authority. Do you have authority to run law or force law against me? And what am I talking about? Number one, you have to prove that you are finished law school, because some judges who set a bench, they haven't completed law school. They're sitting on the bench and they're trying to get a lot of credit towards whatever they're doing. A lot of judges are not from what they call Northwest Mexico, which is this is Northwest Africa, to be correct. A lot of people don't know that because the United States is a corporation, and you can't be a citizen of a corporation. You can only be a worker, but citizen is synonymous to employee, and this is why the IRS takes your taxes, and they are a private corporation also. You understand what I'm saying? So, for an example, if you go to court, you keep everything on the record. You say, for the record, under the Sixth Amendment, I have a right to face my accuser, correct? My accuser is the state of Virginia. Where is the state of Virginia in the courtroom today? And the prosecutor cannot say anything. Why? Because her or his name is not in plaintiff's position. That is false accusation. All right? It can only be the state of Virginia. If she doesn't have any type of identification to prove that she's the state of Virginia, she cannot be a worker of it. You have to understand that, or understand that. And also when you go to court, you always let your paperwork precede you. You let them know you're coming in special appearance. You don't let them know you're making an appearance. You tell them you're making a special appearance. And I will go into the affidavits in a little bit to show you how to go about it. And I hope I answered your question.
You did.
I did. Okay. Anybody else got a question? Y'all all right? Okay. It says, it is an established fact that the United States federal government has been dissolved by the Emergency Banking Act, March 9, 1933, 48 Stat 1 Public Law 89-719, declared by President Roosevelt being bankrupt and insolvent, HJR 192, 73rd Congress, M Session, June 5, 1933. Excuse me for the codes and stuff, but I got to put it in there because people won't do that research. Right. Joint resolution to suspend the gold standard and abrogate the gold clause dissolve the sovereign authority of the United States in the official capacity of all United States governmental officers and departments, and is further evidence that the United States federal government exists today in name only, meaning that the United States corporation only has jurisdiction within Washington, D.C., and this is why the White House is in Washington, D.C. Any other state outside of its jurisdiction is a private corporation. All prisons are private corporations. Michael Jordan owned a prison in Chicago. You understand? And what he do is he capitalized off his own brothers. But yet we buy his shoes. He spends $60 billion a year buying his shoes, yet he's capitalizing on us. You understand what I'm saying? Every other culture has a parliament, a government, and they buy land. Right? Under the United Nations, international courts, under the Uniform Commercial Code law, you are able to establish land and also establish a nation of your own. Did you all know that? And you can also establish a military. That's all the United States corporation is. It's one big corporation that has other entities within it. Like I said, the IRS is nothing but the collection agency that was set up in 1913. And what it does is it collects your taxes for the Federal Reserve Bank. And it was initiated under the Federal Reserve Act. A lot of people don't know that. And there's certain ways that you can get around that too when the IRS starts to attack you, and I'll show you that today also. Right? I'm gonna go on. Gold and silver, come on. Okay. The receivers of the United States bankruptcy are the international bankers, which they call the Illuminati, Rothschild, Rothschild, Habsburg Dynasty, and so forth. Via the United Nations, the World Bank, and the International Monetary Fund. All United States officers, officials, and departments are now operating within a de facto status, meaning they are under colorable law. They don't exist as a people, nor do they have any sovereign powers. The United States of America only have sovereign powers within military status. This is why they go from country to country taking people's resources, because they don't have laws anymore. And this is why the international laws, or the international bankers, when Rothschild established that, he said, you all can have the laws. You all can have the legislation, but I want to control the money. Right? Well, now, it says that, all right, what was I? Okay. Constitutional Republican form of government now dissolved. The receivers of the bankruptcy have adopted a new form of government for the United States. This new form of government is known as a democracy. That don't exist neither. That's colorful. being an established socialist communist order under a new governor for America. This act was instituted and established by transferring and or placing the office of the Secretary of Treasury to that of the Governor of the International Monetary Fund. Public Law 94-564, page 8, section HR 13955 reads in part, the United States Secretary of Treasury receives no compensation for representing the United States. Y'all hear that? The United States only operates under war powers. And it is not the citizens who are supposed to be paying taxes. And the Constitution, it says the only people that are supposed to be paying taxes are federal employees. So why are state employees paying taxes? Because when your mother signed your birth certificate, if you look at the bottom of that birth certificate, you have those red numbers. Those red numbers are your New York Stock Exchange number. And that New York Stock Exchange number is an account set up at the United States Treasury Department at 55 Water Street, Manhattan, New York, downtown. And it's a building, it's a little building that says Tower of Power on the top of it. Your account is in there. And if you look on the back of your Social Security card, you have red numbers also, but before those red numbers, you have a letter. That letter identifies which Federal Reserve Bank your account is in. You have certain states under the federal jurisdiction. So some states have no legal authority after all. All right, back to this. It says, gold and silver was such a powerful money during the founding of the United States of America that the founding fathers declared that the so-called founding fathers, because you got to understand that it was the Moors who came and civilized those who were here, who didn't know legislation, who didn't know economics, who didn't know science. Everything that you see under this political system were established by the melanated beings, which is, in turn, I don't like to say black because that's a classification. And when I say classification, I could be living next door to you, or I could be living next door to a white man, right? And I could have been working at a law firm 10 years more than him. But when I get my paycheck and he gets his paycheck, the taxes is going to be different. They're going to take less from him because his classification is more inferior. And it goes to the DNA, because their DNA is inferior. Sorry about that. We've had a technical difficulty, sorry, because it's DNA. Also, it goes to the DNA. All right? Everybody know us but ourselves. All right? So we're going to go into that also in a little bit. We're going to move deeper into the metaphysics, because it's not just a physical law. We have to go by universal law. If you stop breathing, you broke the law. You know that? If you were to act in a hybrid or a genetically engineered status, you'll be breaking the law. And these people who run your government today help you to break the law by spraying chemtrails and making your foods. Because we have within our DNA atoms. And within these atoms, we have 6 electrons, 6 protons, and 6 neutrons. You remember in Revelation said the mark of the beast is 666? And then you see where they get it from. You can't look at the Bible on a literal sense, but we'll go back to religion because I don't want to get off the subject of law. We'll come back to that. All right. Brother, just in case this, can you move the arrow every once in a while for me? Thank you. It says, people traded their coupons as money or currency. Currency is not money, but a money substitute. Redeemable currency must promise to pay $1 equivalent in gold or silver money, which we don't have. Federal Reserve notes, which is FRNs, if you look on the dollar bill, you see that at the top, make no such promises and is not money. A Federal Reserve note is a debt obligation, so the more money they print, the more the corporations go into debt, because they finance both sides of the war. If we want to borrow over $5 million to go to war, we have to go to the international bankers, which is Rothschild, Rockefeller, and the boys. Top 10% that control the rest. And they have to borrow money. And when they print that money, they go more into debt. And I'm going to show you how to get around that later on also. The federal United States government and the U.S. Congress were not and have never been authorized by the Constitution for the United States of America to issue currency of any kind, but only lawful money, gold and silver coins. So why don't we have gold in our pocket? Somebody went to debt. Somebody made a deal overnight in Jekyll Island, Georgia, and said that hey, we're gonna create these birth certificates, and this is gonna be our security bonds. That's why it's written on security paper, and that's why the parents don't know that they are not the owner of that certificate. They are the guardian. Check it, it says guardian.
Question. So, would it be safe to assume that children that are born in America are considered federal children?
They are federal and colorful. They are corporate ward of the states, meaning they are state property. And this is why you have systems such as social services who are contracted with the federal government to be able to come into your household to take your property when they see that you are not deemed fit to take care of it. It's just like when you buy a car. If you don't make your payments on the car, they come take it. Your house, if you don't make the payments on the house, they'll come take it. And that's why I tell people to get land, because it's more valuable. But not only the land, you got mineral deeds and mineral titles. They got air rights. You see, these white people, I'm not giving them props, but the thing is, they know what they're doing. Everybody knows what they're doing. Everybody is purchasing air rights, and I'll come back and do another lecture on that soon. But you know, the land is more valuable, because if I have land and you say, okay, I want to build some on this land, I have more dominance and power over your organization and your running than you do, because you're sitting on my property, you're sitting on my minerals. You understand what I'm saying? So it's vested us, and there's other ways that you can get. You can go to auctions, just like your car auctions. They got title deed auctions that you can go get it for next to nothing. And all you have to do is make a financial statement under UCC, one financing, insurance companies, and that holds the land. They will give you the original title, because nobody who's ever bought a house in America has ever seen an original contract. Never. Because the banks got it, and they pass it from each other, and they capitalize on it, just like they capitalize on you. You understand? You worth money. All right?
Question,
Yes, sir.
is it safe to say that, as far as being property,
Right.
does it fall under maritime law or civil law?
It falls under maritime law, which is closely to Admiralty law, which is laws of the water. And this is what we operate on today. And I'm going to give you a good example. When the ship pours into its berth, BERTH, it's in the water still. And it pours up to the dock, and it has products on it. And if the person who's buying the products goes onto that ship, and if the products as well, it gives you a certificate of manifesto, right? When your mother pours up in her berth, meaning you are in the water, you are the products, you come out and you pull up to the dock, tour, and they give you a certificate of manifesto, which is your birth certificate. You understand? So everything, even when you go to court, and you walk through the swinging door, you are now walking in deep water. Remember that saying, you're walking in deep water? But these are masons that sit on the bench. So-called masons, because we got to understand where that originated from too. We got to go back 5,000 years, because they took that also. And that's in religion, and we're going to prove that today. And a lot of people want to do away with the cross. That's in religion. That's a science, and I'm going to prove that today with the elements of astrology. A lot of people say that is it's satanic, this is and that, but I'm going to prove that Christians and Muslims and Moors and Hebrew Israelites worship astrology, worship magic and voodoo. It's there, but sometimes something can be so close to you that you won't be able to see it. And they knew the science of us. They studied us. They didn't just come into Africa and take us away. In order to conquer people on a mass level, you have to study more than a physical element. You have to study the spiritual element. And today, we still think they're spiritual people when we're not. We're far past spiritual. Religion is the body, and guess what? The soul is the reality. The spiritual part is the reality. So what it did was they gave you religion and took your spirituality. They swapped with you. You understand what I'm saying? And we'll go more in depth with that later. Now, Federal Reserve notes, which is FRNs, are unsigned checks written on a closed account. FRNs are an inflatable paper system designed to create debt through inflation and devaluation of currency. When you hear them say currency and money, they're talking about the science of the moon. Because the moon moves the current of the water, correct? The moon is the mover of the body of water. And 4/4 of the moon make what? A whole, a full moon. That's your dollar. That's the real dollar. See, they have to play with physical money, which is nothing but debt. That's why the Bible says you're born into sin. Sin is synonymous to debt. You understand? So I'm gonna go back, brother, can you kind of move up just a little bit more? Inflation is an invisible form of taxation that irresponsible governments inflict on their citizens. The Federal Reserve Bank, who controls the supply and movement of FRNs, have everybody fooled. They have access to an unlimited supply of FRNs, paying only for the printing cost of what they need. FRNs are nothing more than promissory notes for U.S. Treasury securities, T-bills, and promise to pay the debt to the Federal Reserve Bank. So every year, we get happy because we get $2,000 or $3,000 back from a refund. But you didn't look at your year-to-date, did you? You made $40,000 or $25,000. Where did that go to? Well, you got to understand that there's a White House headquarters in D.C. and there's a White House headquarters in London, which is run by the Vatican. Did y'all know that? It's 2 White Houses. One is a republic and one is a democracy. We are under the democracy. You get it? The physical body, the spiritual body. We're going to go on. All right. There is a fundamental difference between paying and discharging a debt. And I'm going to show you how to discharge a debt today. Because when you say paying a debt, now you are speaking their language. And if you speak their language, that places you in their jurisdiction. If I make up a word that says photosynthesis, for an example, and I go and I mandate that word, right? And I take that word and I put it under my corporation, under my laws and my statutes and codes. When you come under my corporation and try to fight me with my own words, it's not going to work. Because guess what? I have more jurisdiction over that language. So you can't go in, like I said earlier, you can't go into court saying, I'm appearing in court. You have to say I'm making a special appearance under threat, duress, and coercion. That's the only reason I showed it today, is under threat, duress, and coercion. By force, for the record. And you keep everything on the record. Because the Supreme Law says, and the Supreme Court rule says that in order for a crime to be committed, there must be an injured party. And the state of Virginia can't be injured. And that's the plaintiff. And the prosecutor is still talking. He or she is not in a plaintiff position. So what you need to do is you need to say, well, I'm going to file a notice of removal. Supreme Court, who actually has jurisdiction over more sovereignty in the federal courts. Because I know that this municipal court or this state court is a private corporation also. Every court that you see is a private corporation. There's no such thing as a judge. They are only administrators. Ask for that oath of office, and I guarantee you it's on there.
Question.
I do.
What is the definition of a judicial administrator?
A judicial administrator is one who has sovereign powers over law. None of these people are judicial administrators. Judicial is the foundation for law. And justice is the heart of the judicial system. But since our heart is gone from the judicial system, which is the sovereignty, we have no power in law. All right? Now, where was I? Okay. The Federal Reserve System, Their lust is for power and control. Since the inception of central banking, they have controlled the fates of nations. The Federal Reserve System is based on the canon law, admiralty law, y'all, and the principles of sovereignty protected in the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. In fact, the international bankers used a canon law trust. See what they did? They used a canon law trust. That's what you are. You are law. That's why in Islam they say all law. Because you are all law. What is law? The sun is law. The moon is law. The stars is law. Why? Because you are part of it. Again, you are made of electrons, protons, and neutrons. You are the sun. The sun consists of dark matter. When you look at that sun, you're not looking at the actual sun. That's the shadow of the sun. Just like you're looking at a shadow of yourself right now. The illusion. We are in the matrix. Right? So, law is, you have to look below the surface if you want to find law. Law is within yourself. And the judges know everything, well, the so-called judges know everything that I'm telling you right now, because I've dealt with it. Excuse me. The Federal Reserve System is based on the canon law and the principle of sovereignty protected in the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. In fact, the international banks used a canon law trust as their model, added stock, and named it a joint stock trust. That's connected to your birth certificate. The U.S. Congress had passed a law making it illegal for any legal person. Why did they put the quotation marks around person? Whenever somebody put a quotation around something, don't just read past it. Like I said, you have two types of people in law, corporations flesh and blood human beings. And they have put you in a corporation status. And that's why they can automatically adjudicate you and take your money when you come to court until you say, look, hold on. Does this court have jurisdiction over me? Do I have any contracts with you? Okay, where's your oath of office? Where's your delegation of authority? Because I'm under sui juris. I'm one who's well known in the law. I'm in propria persona. Propria persona means I'm in my proper person. And when they say, do you want to represent yourself on a pro se? No. Pro se is your language, and I'm not going to be under your jurisdiction. Right?
Question,
Yes, sir.
is it, in that situation, is it, since they, we know that it's a court process.
Right.
We live in. But as far as them, for you not to come under that corporate status,
Right.
does one have to claim sovereignty?
Well, it's not so much as claiming sovereignty, because you can only be sovereign in mind. And this is where a lot of Moors get it misconstrued, because they are claiming sovereignty by using physical paperwork, if you will. You have two types of paperwork and you have two types of wounds. You have a mental wound and you have a physical wound. And in order for you to file spiritual paperwork within the jurisdiction of the courts, you will actually have to be in your actual capacity, not sovereign, your actual or factual capacity. That's why when you make it, you tell them you're standing squarely and in your factual status when you are approaching them through your affidavits. So it is a difference. You will have to be sovereign in mind first, yeah. Because in order for the house to be built, you have to start from the foundation. And the foundation is your mental have to be right. Because you can't fight the courts and your mental ain't right. Because you wouldn't be able to acknowledge that window when the judge gives you the window, or the administrator give you that window. They will give you a window, and you just have to see it. Did I answer your question?
Yeah.
Anybody else got a question? How you doing, brother? Good to see you. Peace. All right, we're going to go over to this slide. Sorry, like I said, I'm doing it old-fashioned way now. This is the affidavit to void debt. Give my computer. Thank you so much. This is the affidavit of fact to void debt. And this is how you approach anybody who's forcing or adjudicating business on you. All right, I'm going to start from the top. It says, come now in propria persona, which means your proper person. When you say propria persona, that takes you out of colorable law, which means that colorable law means you don't exist. You check the Black's Law Dictionary, it means you doesn't exist. A corporation doesn't exist, it's a person. Under sui juris, which is one who's well known in the law, to request a contract and or agreement from the adjudicating party who is making or forcing claim notice against me. The documentations that were mailed from your corporation, then you put the collection agency there. If you got Bank of America and they send in their hitman after you, you put the third party's name there because you didn't have any business, more contracts. They forcing business against you, that's a lawsuit.